When you think of God, what do you think of? You might think of righteousness, holiness, or love.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Are you talking about the God in that's seen in the Old Testament or the one in the New Testament?
Well, he's the same God. He's been the
Hmm.
same since the beginning. And what God has expected of his people is very similar. We read in First John chapter 2 and verse 7, John said, Beloved, I'm writing you no new commandment, but an old commandment that you had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word that you have heard. John is saying in the New Testament, we have been given a very similar commandment to what God expected from the beginning. And if you look back at the Old Testament in Deuteronomy chapter 6, God asked his people to love him with their heart, soul, and might. He wanted all of their love. He wanted their attention, their affection, and their desires. And he also said that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. If you could look back at Leviticus chapter 19. So God wanted his people to love him and to love their neighbor.
We can even see from the very beginning, as soon as mankind rejected God and chose not to love him, God continued his love for them and for us by setting out a plan for redemption from the very beginning, even after we had rejected him. And we see this play out through the nation of Israel continuing going forward, because even though the nation of Israel really most of the time were unfaithful to God, God continued his steadfast love and mercy towards them, providing for them and bringing salvation for the whole world and redemption through the nation of Israel, through his son, Jesus Christ, who would later come. And we can see that love has always been important to God. And we see this especially in Exodus chapter 34, when he himself is introducing who he is to the people of Israel. He says in Exodus 34, 6 and 7, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and mercy, keeping steadfast love for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, but who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the son and on the children's children to the third and the fourth generations. God continues to be merciful, and he continues to be merciful to us today. Through the blood of Christ, we have received forgiveness of sins and redemption and salvation, so that even though we fail and even though we fall short often, we are covered by the blood of Christ, and his love, God's love, is shown for us ever since the beginning and continues on today through the redemption that comes through Jesus Christ. So we want to thank you this week for joining us in this study, and we hope that you have a good week, and we hope to see you next week.